Om Sadashivasamarampham Shankaracharya-madhyamam Asmadacharya-paryantam Vande Guru-paramparam. Okay, some news for those who couldn't join yesterday. We have finally registered a agreement for sale for the land near Kalyan. So we can have a small center there and have some full-time students and things like that. Yeah. So we will keep updating as and when the progress happens. Because the first time the trust is buying land, we need a collector's permission also. So formalities, but we have to go through that. So it takes a little bit of time. Yeah. Okay. So with that, let us start. Okay. So we saw the 6th verse, I think, last time. Now, after having talked about what the reality is, he is also explaining away the creation. Okay. Because any spiritual teaching, any philosophy, anything cannot ignore your experiences. It has to give some explanation for it. And that you experience the world is a fact. Since you experience the world, naturally, some explanation for the world, because if the reality is one, how did the world come about, etc., has to be given. So that is what he is doing from the next verse onwards. So you have to remember one thing, that the theory of creation in Vedanta is not actually speaking to establish creation. It is actually meant to show the mithyatum of the creation, that there is no real creation, it is only a manifestation. It is meant to show that. Okay? So keeping that in mind, let us see what he has to say. Okay. All right, here it says, in the 7th verse, Mamai vamsho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatanaha manashashtani indriyani prakristani karshati shariram yadavapnoti yachapyutkamati ishvaraha grihitetaani samyati vayurgandhani vashaya. Okay. Next 2-3 verses also go about it. Mamaha amshaha. Amshaha iva amshaha. As though a part of me. Why as though? Because the infinite cannot have parts. You cannot divide the infinite by any number. But it looks like it can look like a part. Like all-pervading space, I can say, is this 300-room space. I can say that. As though I have partitioned that space to form a sitting room. But you are not really partitioned. Yeah. You are not really partitioned. Why? Because the walls that partition exist in space, and space exists in and through the walls. Therefore, it only looks as though it is partitioned. It is a finite space. Okay. Therefore, mamai amshaha, in that sense, amshaha, as though a part. Jiva loke, in the world of jivas, in the world of mortals, jiva bhutaha, sanatanaha jiva bhutaha. Okay, yeah. The jiva is also sanatana, meaning beginningless. Why? Right now, we consider ourselves a jiva. And I consider myself a jiva because of ignorance. When did this ignorance start? Ignorance cannot start. Because if ignorance has to start, its opposite has to be there before, knowledge. And if knowledge is there, ignorance cannot start. Like right now, what am I holding in my hand? A pen. You know the pen. All right. Now let ignorance of pen start. Ignorance of what? Pen. Can it start? Every time you try to even forget pen, can you do that? Forget what? Pen. Okay. So it's going to be right there in your mind. Therefore, it is not possible. Okay. Therefore, Sanatanaha Jivaha, what does it do? Manashashtani Indriyani Prakristani Karshati. Okay. Keeping the mind as the sixth, along with the sense organs, etc., Prakristani Karshati. He manifests himself in the Prakriti. And Shariram yada vapnoti yacha utkramati Ishvaraha. When he gains a new body, or utkramati, when he rises above the body. Who? The Jiva. Who is the Jiva? Really speaking, Ishvaraha, the pure consciousness itself. But now, mistaking itself to be manifest in the mind, therefore a finite entity. That person. Grihit etani samyati vayurgandhani vashayat. Etani grihitva. Keeping the mind and sense organs with it, it leaves, either it enters a new body or it leaves the old body. How? Along with the mind and sense organs. How does it do that? As the wind, the breeze takes away the smell. Sometimes you suddenly get a nice fragrance. Arey, ye kidhar se aaya? From someone else's garden, the flowers, the breeze has brought the fragrance of the flowers to your room. Similarly, the sense organs, etc. follow. What sense organs are we talking about? Let's look back at that and I'll come back to it. Kshotram chakshusparshanam cha rasanam ghranam evacha adhishtaya manaschaivam vishayanupasevate. Eyes, ears, nose, etc. All your 5 sense organs through which you interact with the world. Adhishtaya manaschaivam, with mind as the adhishtana, as a basis. Vishayanupasevate, it enjoys the world of objects. But Swamiji, isn't the sense organs in the body? Sense organs of action are in the body, no? Eyes, etc. are in the body. Here is where the spirit in Vedanta differs from science. Okay? Remember, science is a materialistic philosophy. For it, the material reality is only reality that is there in science. Now, in Vedanta, we look upon these physical eyes, ears, etc. as golakas, external sense objects. The capacity to see, the capacity to hear, etc. is what we call sense organs that is there in the mind. Okay? This is the way Vedanta looks at it. Partly true. In the sense, you can have some supporting logic for this. This is a statement of the Gita and the Upanishads. Now, do you have any supporting logic? Yes. Even science talks about the aesthetic body. Those of us who are into sports, etc. We are a very well developed aesthetic body. Okay? Or what is known as the phantom limb phenomena. Now, it has been noticed in many cases. Okay? The guy has lost an hand. Hand has been chopped off. Okay? At the elbow, he lost his hand. There is no hand here. And he'll tell the doctor, "Doctor, my palm is itching." The doctor will dismiss it. How can your palm itch? You don't have a palm. And he'll walk away. But the nurse is smart. She'll say, scratch that palm. With the other hand, scratch that where it is itching. So he'll do this. There is no palm, it's only in his mind. But when he scratches there, he gets a relief. Since too many cases were noticed like this, some research work was done and they came to this phantom limb phenomena, which, oh, just a phantom limb. Phantom limb is like a ghost limb we are talking about. It's a delusion of the brain. This is what science will say. Vedanta says, no. You have just lost your hand in an accident suddenly. The mind is still extending up here because the mind is manifest over the whole body. The mind is extending all over, including here. The mind has not yet withdrawn. So since the mind is not yet withdrawn, the phantom limb phenomena is there. And science also says another thing. The sooner you put an artificial limb, the better it is. Why? Because the mind extends up to the artificial limb as well. Now, the mind connection to the artificial limb is poor because there are no nerves, etc. to connect with the physical body. But the mind connection will be still there. You will be able to function better with that hand. Because all functioning depends upon your mind orders anyway. Without your mind ordering, there is no functioning happening in the body. It is exactly like those of us who have been trained in weapons, classical weapons, old-fashioned weapons. Okay? There, your mind and energy from your hand has to extend to the whole sword until the whole sword is filled up with your mind and energy. Then you and the sword functions as one. There is no difference between the two. You move the sword as effectively as you can move your hand. This comes after years of training. Comes after years of training. Yeah. And even in the Mahabharata, Dronacharya's training of the Pandava princes, that archery training, see, they had all learned basic archery, how to shoot, etc. They had learned. Okay. Kshatriya kids, na? You learn how to use it when you start walking. Okay, yeah. So they learnt it. All right. Then Dronacharya came on the scene. So now he has to take them to the next level. So he said, choose your favorite bow. This bow is yours now. Because in the armory, lot of bows are available. One row. Choose one that is your favorite. Then he'll say, name it. Name. Why? Why do you have to name a bow? क्या फर्क पड़ा है? Bow is a bow is a bow. Like modern soldiers, they given a rifle is a rifle. Nobody names their rifles. Why? Because at the end of the day they surrender it and next day they may get a different one. But this is traditional art, it's not like that. You have to form an emotional connect with the weapon. So he says, okay, name it. All right, we named it. You actually do a small naming ceremony, okay? Yeah. Because the emotional connect has to be there. And 2 weeks, all you are going to do is look at the bow and form an emotional connect. 2 weeks. You are just sitting and observing the bow. Hey, how nice it is. Oh, okay, that curve is there like that. That part is very strong. This part I have to be careful of, it's a little weak. This type of emotional connect you make with your bow. ये क्या archery है? Yes. This is archery at the highest level. Why? Supposing you are in a camp and the enemy attacks in the night. Are you going to start looking where your bow is? The bow has to leap into your hands. The emotional connect is there, my hands will go exactly and the bow will come up in my hands. Weapon is ready. Yeah. That's how it has to be. Therefore, their emotional connect. Then, another month goes, you pick up the bow, you string it. That means you have to bend it and tie the string. Then what do? Untie it, keep it down. Pick it up, string it. Another month goes in that. Another month, just tying and untying the bow. Tying and untying the bow, another month goes. Then, another month. You take an arrow, you notch it, pull it up, keep it down. This goes on for days and days and days and months. 1 year this went on. They have not fired one single arrow for the whole year. At the end of the year, they are going to be examined by Bhishma and other warriors. So they all troop up. And Arjuna is asked, pick up your bow and notch it. Okay, done. What do you see? The bird. Bird? The eye of the bird, sir. Shoot. Drona doesn't even bother to check whether the arrow has hit the target or not. Why? The mind has reached the target. The arrow only has to follow its path. Therefore, why am I saying all this? Sense organs, etc., are in the mind. These are only the physical counterparts. Okay? In traditional arts and learning, we always know this. Okay? And therefore, manashashtani indriyani, when the person dies, the whole thing comes up. That's why when you get a new body, you can use the sense organs very well. You just have to get used to the new body. That takes a little bit time. Why? Because the new body is a baby body. And you know, when you leave the body, what do you think your age is? If you die at 90, you look like a 90-year-old when you die. You will look at that age when you felt the most powerful as a person. Usually for people, that's between 35 and 45. Why? Enough youth to feel strong and powerful, enough wisdom to be able to use that power. So generally 35 to 45 is the age, except jnanis, sadhus, etc., who will look older because they feel more empowered, more wise when they are older. Okay. Yeah. So when you go into a new body, you have to adjust to that baby body, na? So thoda time lagta hai. Yeah. That's why the jiva enters at conception so that it can grow, it can adjust to the body right at every stage. Yeah. And because our minds are very sophisticated, and this mind, by here, it can be here also, this mind has to express itself. You need something that will connect this mind with the body. That is your brain. Now your brain, some of the development has to happen inside the womb, much of it has to happen outside the womb. That's why the more intelligent a life form is, the more years of play it has, the more years of education it requires. Play is part of learning, okay? So when you prevent your children from playing, they are not learning. Very important skills they are not learning. So be careful of that, okay? That it is part of the learning process. That's why you see insects, they don't have any childhood. Do you have childhood in insects? A cockroach doesn't have a childhood stage. A day or two at the most. A puppy, few months. A monkey baby, longer. Human baby, 16, 17, 18. And some men never grow up anyway. I'm favoring the woman, okay? I can say the same thing about women. They remain daddy's little girls. Okay. That jokes apart. Therefore, this is what happens. All your sense organs come with you and go with you. You are not only sense organs, organs of action also. Your capacity to grasp, etc. Because this is your athletic body, your aesthetic body. Okay? Yeah. In other philosophies, it's given different names, like they call it the embryonic body, etc. also. Okay? All right. Then Vishyan Upasevate, it enjoys the world with all that. All right. तो क्या हो गया में? All right, fine, we got it. What difference does it make? Difference? Look at the next verse. The next verse makes the difference. Utkramantam sitam vapi bunjanam va gunanvitam vimudaha nanu pashyanti jnana chakshusha. Utkramantam sitam vapi. Whether it is leaving the body or remaining in the body. Bunjanam is enjoying the things, or things it is associated with lot of the gunas, etc. Vimudaha, Vishesha Mudaha, special fools, meaning filtered idiots, okay? I wonder how the filtered idiot term came up. Like if you have a filter, chani, and you put things in, only the big things will have, the small things will go through. No? Similarly, the small fools are gone through. Only the good ones are left behind. Okay, filtered idiots. Vimudaha. Na anupashyanti. They don't see the truth of who they are. Pashyanti jnana chakshusha. You will see only with your jnana chakshu. Swamiji, that means all the yogis, etc. were right. You have to develop the third eye, na? Jnana chakshu. You can develop your third eye if you want to. You will see a lot of things which others don't see, and then you will get very confused because what you see itself confuses you. So, if you see things which others don't see, you will be more confused about it, not less confused. Okay, yeah. If Vimuda, here Jnana Chakshu is used in the terms of Jnanameva Chakshuhu, Jnana Chakshuhu. Jnanameva Chakshuhu. Knowledge itself is the eye. Knowledge itself is the eye. Because your eye can see only what the mind knows. I have given this example before. A fair girl walks into the room. I look at the girl and say, oh, very fair girl. A doctor looks at the same girl and says, my God, she's so anemic. Why did the doctor see anemia where I only saw fair skin? Jnanam, the knowledge. Knowledge is always a plus. Therefore, the mind can see only, can recognize only what it knows. Then how it gets new knowledge, etc., we'll have a discussion on that some other day, okay? No. Therefore, here, jnanameva chakshuhu. Knowledge itself is the eye. That is called jnana chakshuhu. By the eye of knowledge, you see what you are. That means this knowledge has to be gained. Therefore, adhikaritvam has to be there. And you have to have a teacher. Then knowledge will be there. Okay, all right. All right. So, how do I gain the jnana chakshu, etc.? He talks about. Okay. यतन्तो योगिनश्चैनं पश्यन्ति आत्मनि अवस्थितं यतन्ति अपि अकृतात्मानः नैनं पश्यन्ति अचेतसः योगिनः. Here of course it refers to what he has talked about as yogis, karma yoginah, or those who are mastering their mind. Yatantaha, they are putting in adequate, appropriate effort. This is important to know. Because you have to use the pramana. To see something, you have to use the pramana. You will not see something without using the pramana. It will be the classical case. This person, because of an accident, went blind in his teens. Bad case. For 20 years he has been blind. His parents took him to a lot of treatment, none of them worked. 20 years later, a new technique of surgery has been developed where this person will be able to see. So everyone goes through the surgery. His eyes is kept bandaged for a few days. Then the doctor comes and removes the bandage, is happy, there is no sign of infection, nothing. And he tells the young man, open your eyes and see. Doctor, I have undergone a lot of treatments. None of them has worked. I cannot stand another disappointment. Prove to me, I will see. Then I will open my eyes. Can the doctor prove to him? The doctor can only reassure him, everything has gone well, the surgery was successful, there is no infection, etc. Please open. I am sure you will see. Can you guarantee it, doctor? Can a doctor guarantee anything? In India, a doctor may say, I'll guarantee. In the Western world, never. Why? Because if he doesn't see, he'll be sued for it. Yatantaha, he has to open his eyes and see whether the pramana works or not. Right or wrong? That is the yatna that we are talking about here. And in Vedanta, the yatna is a little bit more, in the sense, you have to go to a teacher, you have to find a right teacher first. Then you have to cultivate adhikaritvam. Then you have to do shravanam, follow it up through mananam, follow it up through nididhyasanam, to own it up. All this you have to do. सुन के जाने से थोड़ी ज्ञान हो जाता है. Tarananda Giri used to say that. My teacher's teacher used to say that. ये सुन के जाने से ज्ञान नहीं हो जाता है. ये लोहे के चना है, चबाने पड़ता है. To say that. Vedanta, Sanskrit, no? लोहे के चना है. The sutra, like लोहे के चना. You have to keep chewing it. It's not that one Saturday you attend the class and then you open the book. Then Saturday at 5 o'clock you start looking, where is my Gita book gone? ऐसा थोड़ी ज्ञान होता है. Okay, यतन्तः. Okay, यतन्तोपि योगिनश्चैनं पश्यन्ति आत्मनि अवस्थितं. They see that all this is happening in the self alone. They see the self very clearly. But he says, yatantaha api, even if you are making efforts, akritatmanaha, whose minds are not kritam. Kritam meaning not matured out, don't have viveka vairagya shat sampatti mumukshutvam. They attend the class regularly, okay, एक class miss नहीं हो जाएगा. But akritatmanaha, what will happen? if the teacher is good and the teaching is traditional, you will gain some insight here and there. That is the strength of the traditional teaching. Insights will be there, but it will never become yours because this is not taken care of. And he says, Nainam pashyanti achetasaha. Achetasaha, if you don't have this learning, if you don't have viveka, vairagya, etc., achetasaha, not alert, not awareful living, no idea of your priorities, no samadama, etc., it won't work. Insights you will gain. Traditional teaching will give you insights, but you'll never make it your own. Never make it your own. Yeah, never. And I've seen this in my years of teaching. One advantage is if you're teaching in the same city for years, you see all types of people. Yeah. You see some of them doing so well that they are ready to become teachers. And some of them struggling after 10 years also, 20 years, still struggling. Because achetasaha. For them it has become something good, shubhecha, interested in. Mumukshutvam also has got stages. One is called shubhecha. I must do something nice. I'm interested in so many things. Like I'm interested in music and bhajans and singing and everything. So a little bit philosophical knowledge is good because they'll enhance my music. This is called shubhecha. Okay. Or it'll be nice to get moksha, no? Okay. At least by the end of my life I'll get it. How do you know when your end of your life is anyway? No one knows. Tivra mumuksha. I want it now. Why am I waiting for the next 20 years? Abhi mein chahiye mere. That guy will definitely get it. Okay. Yeah. Because mumukshutvam is tivram. Yeah. There is a story like this. Traditional teachers sometimes also will resort to experience-oriented learning. So Guru and Chela were going for the morning bath in the river. Ganga mein ja. So when they were reaching the Ganga and they took off their slippers and they were taking off most of their dress to enter the water, the Chela got a question in his mind. Maharaji, can I ask you a question? Of course, beta. Because Vedanta is 24/7. थोड़ी है कि नहीं क्लास में पूछो, सत्संग में पूछो, ऐसा थोड़ी होता है. हाँ, ask. Okay, a digression from a story, okay. Student asks the teacher, can I think of Vedanta when I am eating, when I am walking, when I am cooking, etc.? Can I think of Vedanta? Of course, beta, you can. This is called mukti tasking. Not multitasking, okay? Mukti tasking. This is Karthik's joke, okay? Nirmala's here, her husband's joke. Karthik. Anyway, so Guru and Chela were there and the Chela asked the Guru. Guru said, हाँ, पूछ लो अभी. Says, Maharaji, I'm a good student, I've been studying. How come I'm not gaining moksha? हाँ, बताता हूँ. And by the time they had entered the water, they were in waist deep water. And the Guru caught hold of the student by the scruff of his neck, pushed him under the water. Guy is struggling to come up. Maharaji. But Maharaji to hatta-gatta aadmi hai, keeping him down. After about a minute or so, he pulled him up. Maharaji, what did you do? When you are down there, what were you thinking of? Air, nothing but air. When you are in moksha like that, फिर तो बस बातों में बन जाएगा. Okay, the idea is Okay, these are all Arthavada, exaggeration to highlight the importance of mumukshutvam. Okay, when your mumukshutvam is high, okay, that's part of that chetasa, being chetasam, yeah, viveki, etc. Okay, you will get it fast. All right, yeah. So that means what? The whole verse is highlighting, hey, as a teacher, the teacher will do his job. The teachers are ready to take on a samsara now, okay? Yeah. Samsara? What do you think an ashram is? Samsara nahi to aur kya hai? You have 2 bedrooms and 2 kids at home and you find it so difficult to handle. We are thinking of 30 rooms and 50 students. Samsara nahi hai. And all characters, independent minded guys. Otherwise, anyone will come to the ashram, will be able to walk away and come to the ashram. Samsara hi hai. Okay. The teacher will do his job. What does the student have to do? Teacher can point out about adhikaritvam. Who has to develop it? Teacher can give you tips on how to do it, can give you insights. Adhikaritvam, alert living, etc., has to be developed by the student. To be alert, to be awareful, chetasa, bright, thinkers. Teacher can't do that. Yeah. The student has to do. Can you all see me, hear me, or is it down? Can you all see me or hear me? Will someone respond? Okay.
We can't see you, we can hear you.
Okay. Let me just switch over to my phone. Because sometimes the Wi-Fi is not good enough. So if I switch over to the hotspot created, okay, I think yes, now you can see and hear, I think.
Yes, sir.
This is the computer version of Utkramantam Sthitam Vapi, okay? Okay. Yeah. So, given that, all right, let's go ahead. Okay. Therefore, achetasaha. Once you develop this, the onus on the part of the student is being highlighted here. Okay. The onus that is there on the part of the student. Yeah. Okay. Then nothing. All right. What about the world outside then? I mean, are you all clear about this onus, or you want me to expand anything more? Clear about it. Okay. All right. Then I'll go ahead and all right. And what is the next? Yat aditya gatam tejaha jagad bhasayate akhilam yat chandramse yachagno tat tejo viddhimamakam. People know I have a class. These are students ringing up. People know I have a class. Still they'll ring up. Yat aditya gatam tejaha, he says, the energy that is there in the sun, which illumines this whole earth, bhasayate, it gives a certain liveliness to the earth. Remember, for the earth to be able to sustain life, the sun has to be there at exactly the right place where it is. Within that range of movement, it has to be there. Therefore, aditya gatam tejaha, which jagat bhasayate akhilam, which lights up this whole world. Yat chandamsi, that which is there in the moon. Yat chagnau, that which is there in the fire. Fire outside and fire inside, both, okay? Yeah. Jatragni, etc. also. Tat tejaha viddimamakam. Understand that energy is nothing but mine. As Ishvara is speaking now. Understand that it is nothing but mine. It is my energy alone. It is my Maya Shakti alone that is manifest as the energy of the sun and the moon and the stars and the fire and everything. And what does it do? Gam avishya cha bhutani dharamyami hamojasa pushnami chaushadi sarvaha somo bhutva rasatmakam. What does it do? Gam avishya, gam meaning the earth, okay? The earth, avishya, entering the earth, bhutani and the beings, dharayami aham ojasa, I sustain them with my energy, he says. Through food, etc., understood. Okay? Through the ojas that is there. All right. Okay? And I'll come to that. Pushnami chaushadi sarvaha. And I enter the plant life and become medicinal. How? Somo bhutva rasatmakaha. By giving them rasaha, by the moonlight, he says. That's why in Ayurveda, you always have to expose the herbs to the medicinal plants to the moonlight before you cut them and use them for medicine. It is not grown in artificial greenhouses. You have to keep it exposed to the moon also. Because two types of energies are necessary. The hard energy that is the sun and the soft energy that comes from the moonlight. Okay. Remember, the effect of the moon on the human system is huge. You have seen the effect of the moon on the oceans. All tides are caused by the moon, not by the sun. Similarly, in the human body, the rising and the dropping of the hormones are because of the moon. The creative cycle in woman is synced with the moon. That's why it becomes between 28 and 30 days. Your hormonal cycle is with the moon. The Oshadi Sarva. And therefore, what he is saying is, the natural energy that you have, that is also from me. That which you gain from the sun and the moon is also from me alone. Then what else do I do? Aham Vaishvanaro Bhutva Praninam Deham Ashritaha Panapana Samayuktaha Pachami Annam Chaturvidam. Aham Vaishvanaro Bhutva. I also manifest myself as the Vaishvanaraha. What is the Vaishvanaraha? The fire in the human being. The fire element that sustains you. It has various manifestations, but here he is referring to your digestive fire. Your digestive fire. And it's also the fire that sustains your heart. The fire element has to be strong to sustain your heart. Okay? Yeah. Otherwise, there will be problems. Okay? Yeah. That's why you have to develop heat in your body, either through pranayamas or cardio exercises to develop your heart. Yeah. Simple connections. Therefore, aham Vaishvanaro Bhutva. Here, becoming your Jataragni, your digestive fire, what do? Praninam deham ashritaha. Taking, manifesting in human body, in the body of living beings, in the bodies of living beings, praninam, pranadharanam. Those who have prana, prana meaning those who are connected with the energy, who are alive. Okay, therefore praninam deham ashritaha, pranapana samayuktaha, along with prana and apana and other pancha pranas. Pachamyannam chaturvidam. I digest the fourfold food that you all have. Fourfold food, chaturvidam. What is fourfold? Proteins, carbs, vitamins. No. That is not what he is talking about here. That is a useful division. Okay, that's a useful division. Nobody is denying that. Okay. Here, chaturvidam is based on the mode of eating. Some things you chew. Like you're taking rice, etc. You're not supposed to be making a ball and swallowing the rice, no? Rice, vegetables, etc. You're supposed to chew it. Chaturvidam. One of the methods. Chew nicely. Then some is just drunk. Water, milk, etc. You just drink. Okay. Yeah, no problems, Nirmala. Yeah. And some, what do? Some you lick. Correct? Imagine taking honey. I mean, you can drink honey, but then normally you lick it up. No? Or jelly or jam. Then there is a fourth mode of eating, which the Westerners may not be very aware of. It is called lehyam. How do you take Chavanaprash? Most of you must have taken Chavanaprash at some time or the other. It is not like eating jelly. It is not like eating jam. It is not drinking. It is not chewing. It's called lehyam. Okay. You use your tongue and you have to swallow it with your tongue. Your tongue and your palate at work. In licking, only your tongue is at work, your palate is not working. But in lehyam, your palate also has to work. Upper palate has to work. Therefore, chaturvidam, all food that you eat will come under one of the four, including your smoothies, this, that, etc., everything. Okay. Chaturvidam, okay. Aham pachami, I digest. So, in what? Now look at it. Ishvara is both the eater and the eaten. In Aushadhi, etc., the energy is Ishvara's. It makes it worthy of life, worthy of eating, of sustaining life. And the eater is what in the human body? The energy of Ishvara again manifests as Jatragni. Therefore, who is the Lord? Bhokta cha bhogyam cha. Bhokta cha bhogyam cha. The eater and the eaten, the experiencer and the experienced, everything is Ishvara alone. Where is this experiencer experience divide? Kuch nahi hai. Kuch nahi hai. The experiencer, the experienced object, and the experiencing, all are nothing but manifestations of Ishvara. And what is Ishvara? The pure consciousness that gives the base for the whole thing. That is you. All this is understood, okay? All this is understood. Experience, everything is one Ishvara alone. And this has to be recognized. It is very important to see this, that whatever you are experiencing and the one that is experiencing it are both manifestations of the same Satchidananda Swarupaha, Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahman, as existence, as Chaitanyam. The whole thing is being experienced. इतना ही बात है. In between, I feel I am special, I am different. I am special, I am different. A delusion created by ignorance. Therefore, the sense of I, instead of recognizing I am limitlessness, says I am this much only. I am this much only. तो मैं ऐसा ही हूँ, and sometimes मैं ऐसा क्यों हूँ? It became a Hindi film song, मैं ऐसे क्यों हूँ, वैसा क्यों हूँ. I think Hrithik Roshan or someone was involved in that. Yeah. So that is where it is. But Swamiji, where is the role of emotions, etc.? That is missed out in all this, na? No. Look at the next one. Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishtaha matta smritir jnanam apohanam cha vedaihi sarvaihi ahameva vedya vedanta krid veda videva chaham. Sarvasya hridi, in everyone's heart, chaham, aham charupena sthitaha, I am there manifest in the form of tea. Cha, correct. Hridi sannivishtaha, I have entered everyone's heart as tea. From me alone is smritihi, memory, jnanam, knowledge. If that morning cup of tea is not there, apohanam cha, everything is forgotten. Okay. I'm just cracking a joke, okay? I love to do that with this verse. Cha and aham, I, as consciousness, as Ishvara, sarvasya hridi sannivishtaha, I am manifest as the I in everyone. I am manifest as the I in everyone. From me alone is manifest what? Smritihi, memory, jnanam, including forgetfulness. If memory is there, forgetfulness is not far behind. And sometimes it's good to have that ability to forget what you experienced in your past life. Good, you have forgotten it. Otherwise, you may be married to your mortal enemy. Correct, Swamiji? Sometimes it feels like that. Last lifetime, the lessons had to be learned as being enemies. This lifetime, the lessons have to be learned as romantic partners. So it's good to forget. So apohanam cha, all that means all types of your emotions manifest from me alone, from the consciousness. All these are manifestations of the consciousness. Consciousness is one. Along, because of Maya Shakti, all this is appearances. All these are only appearances. Therefore, Vedehi Sarvehi Ahameva Vedyaha. In the whole Veda, what is to be known? Me alone. In the first section of the Veda, you will learn about me as Karma Phala Data, Karma Dhyakshaha, as Ishvara. In the second portion of the Veda, in the Upanishad, you will learn about me as Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahman. Therefore, all that has to be learned, Ahame Vivedyaha, in the whole Veda. There is nothing other than me to be known. Swamiji, what about all the other karmas, etc.? Kar lau thoda kuch. Jeena hai na? You have to manage your life, therefore some karmas are mentioned. But the karmas are manifestation from me. I am the one that is invoked in the karma. I am the one who gives the karma phala data. Therefore you recognize Ishvara. You bring Ishvara into your life. And then you mature out enough to take the next step to know that Ishvara and I are not different. Ahameva Vedyaha, he says. Ahameva Vedana. Vedanta Krit. I am the Vedanta Krit. I am the one who is the source of the Vedanta. Teachers, including some of the greatest of them like Shankara, Vyasa, etc., are only Vedanta with. They are masters of the tradition. They are not creators of the tradition. We are Sampradaya with, all right. We are masters of the tradition. We are not creators of the tradition. That is Ishvara himself. That's Ishvara himself. Yeah. Look at it in the first section. What do you learn? Karma, karma phala, etc. Therefore, you understand Ishvara. You let Ishvara into your life. Then, when you mature out, you are ready to understand Ishvara and I are one and the same. Therefore, Aham Vedanta Krut. Therefore, it's important to recognize that Vedanta is not a philosophy. It's a pramana that's revealed by the Lord Himself. Those who attended yesterday's talk, Swami mentioned that. Source is Ishvara, and the pramana works by itself. Source is Vedanta Krut. Therefore, the pramana is come from the Ishvara. And what is the object of knowledge? What is the thing that to be recognized? Ahameva Vidyaha. Vedanta Vid. And who is the one who knows the Veda? You, the student, who is what? Ahameva. Ishvara saying, you and I are not different. Kidhar hai? Kya farak hai? All it requires is some recognition. Aur kuch nahi hai. What a beautiful statement. Sarve Veda, Ahameva Vedya. I have to be known in the whole Veda. Vedanta Krut. I am the one who is the source of the Vedanta is myself. And the Veda with, the one who knows the Veda is also me. Where are you separate then? So, Veda Videva Chaham. Itna baat hai. One of the most beautiful verses. I joke about when I started, they're saying Sarvasya Chaham, etc. Why do I joke? Because in the light of that joke, the profundity of it comes up afterwards. From the ridiculous to the sublime. The difference makes it huge. No? That's important. Please contemplate upon it before the next class, okay? Throughout the week. Vedehi sarvehi ahameva vedya. I am the one to be known in the whole Vedas. I am the Vedanta Krut. You will have questions on that. And Veda Videva Chaham. Because if the Ishvara is the source of this knowledge, it has to be mentioned in the knowledge itself. Otherwise, how do you know it? Otherwise, it will just become a belief. God came and talked to me through a prophet, through a son, through a this, through a whatever. The rishis in their subjective experiences. Some nonsense you'll talk about. It's not subjective experience. Yeah. The source is Ishvara himself. Narayanam Padma Bhuvam Vasishtam Satkincha Tatputra Parasharamcha. Chain of teachers mentioned. Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam. Another line. Mention any line. Parampara we trace right back to Ishvara himself. Yeah. Therefore, it is not an ordinary thing you all are a part of. You are the latest link. I am one before, that's all. Oh, sorry, two before. That's all the difference is. Or kya? Why? Vedanta Krut Ahameva, Veda Vid Ahameva. फिर ये आगे पीछे क्या होता है? बस थोड़ा व्यवहार के लिए, थोड़ा खेल के लिए, बस इतना. That's all that is there. Okay. Therefore, think about it, contemplate on it a bit. It will open up a huge field for you all. Okay. So, with that profundity, let us call it a day. Om Tat Sat.
Thank you, Swami.